Hey there, and welcome to episode 2 of OwlTowel's Gaming Thrifts. Today we're going to be having a quick look around Weymouth High Street to see what interesting things we can find. First things first, I went to a place called Magpie's Nest. This opened this year sometime, and as far as I can tell it's just like a thrift store full of random stuff. And right off the bat I found another Wingman flight stick from Logitech. I found one of these last time, albeit a much older model. But yeah, to see two of these in a row was very weird and coincidental. I didn't buy it because, to be honest, I don't tend to collect PC stuff, and to be honest I don't really have any use for it. I think it was a few pounds, which, going on the assumption that it works, I think that's a pretty good price for it. And of course, they had to have at least one copy of FIFA. You cannot go thrifting in the UK without finding some copies of FIFA. Next up was Julia's house, and sadly didn't have anything, so we're going to move on. Next up is British Heart Foundation, and sadly, that McDonald's M in the window is not for sale, it's just a reflection. And I found this copy of Aqua Teen Hunger Force Volume 1. This kind of threw me off a little bit because it's an American DVD that has somehow ended up in a UK charity shop. It's not the first time I've seen something like this, in fact it's not even the first time in this shop. I once found a copy of the first season of Robot Chicken. I didn't buy that because, to be honest, I don't particularly like that show. But I did actually end up buying this DVD because, well, to be honest, I don't really know why. It goes well with my Tim and Eric DVDs. The first two seasons were actually released in the UK for some reason. I'm not sure why. But yeah, this was an interesting find, and this is the exact reason why I go around these charity shops to find these odd things now and then. Next up is the Cats Protection charity shop, and surprise, surprise, it was closed. I can never determine when this place opens. It seems to be completely random. Maybe they've got staffing issues or something. I'm not really sure. Anyway, next up I went to Cancer Research UK, and they had a lot of DVDs and stuff outside. I had a quick look. There wasn't really anything that stood out to me. But they did have this lovely third-party PS2 controller for £5. Apparently it was originally £12.99. I'm assuming that's the last shop that sold it. Admittedly, it's not a particularly nice looking controller, so I didn't end up buying it. Plus the fact I didn't really need one. I have nothing against third-party stuff. In fact, my PS2 controller I use right now is third-party and is a really nice controller. If I was desperate, maybe I would have bought one, but yeah, them's the breaks. And next up is Deborah, fighting for a world where no one suffers with EB. I actually don't know what EB is, so it might be a good idea to put that on your banner somewhere for dummies like me. But anyway, I went inside and they had this electronic Sudoku game for sale for £6.50, which I think is a little bit steep. It would be easy to make fun of a product like this. Oh, it's really out of date, why would you want that when you could just play Sudoku on your phone? Not everybody has a mobile phone, so this might be a really good solution to play it electronically. I still think £6.50 might be a little bit too steep, maybe like a £5 at most, but if you want to play electronic Sudoku, I'm going on the assumption that this works fine, this is a good solution. And I went upstairs and I found this old HP keyboard. Now I did a little bit of research on this keyboard. It's a HP C1405A keyboard, rolls right off the tongue. From what I read, this was produced in like the late 80s, 1987 to 1989 is the years of production according to the Desk Authority wiki. But yeah, you may have noticed on the keyboard that it has no cable built into it. You have to plug one in to the keyboard itself and then into your computer. No idea how good this keyboard is. I'm going to assume it's better than the HP keyboard I got now, because mine's like cheap and spongy. I do imagine that if Clint saw this from Lazy Game Reviews, he definitely would have bought it, because to be honest, £3, that's actually really cheap. Next up is the Dorset Blind Association, and they had a load of different Pokemon cards and some exciting episodes on DVD. Unfortunately, I didn't notice any for alligators or a Golduck card, so none of these are worth it to me. And to be honest, I don't really buy Pokemon cards unless it has like some nice artwork on it. I'm not going to buy it, and it has to be cheap because I'm stingy. But if you like Pokemon cards, I imagine there's at least a few in there you'd like. But yeah, I want to apologise for the quality of some of these pictures. They are absolutely terrible. I really need to do like extra ones just in case. And of course, they had to have at least one copy of FIFA. I will say one thing, not so many copies of FIFA this time round, but still, it always makes me laugh because nobody wants them. Fucking fly. Bastard, get off my mic. Next up is the British Red Cross, and while they didn't have any games that particularly stood out, they did have the Silent Hill 2 t-shirt. I've not played any of the Silent Hill games. In fact, I don't play any games like that because I'm very easily spooked. But if you want to show the world how much you love Silent Hill 2, this is a pretty good option, and it's only £4. Next up is Life. I have no idea what the charity's about, but I'm guessing it's about life. And they also had a Sudoku game for sale. This one was $3.99, a little bit more reasonably priced, although to be honest I don't like the design of the device as much as the last one. I've been going to charity shops for years, like at least a decade now. I've never seen any Sudoku games before, so to see 2 in one trip was definitely very weird. And new to this edition, it has a complete instruction manual inside. How generous. Next up I had a look in the Weldmar Hospice Trust, and they had this copy of World of Warcraft Cataclysm. I don't play World of Warcraft, I never have, I never will. It actually took me about 5 minutes to get this picture, because it was like some guy who was just in the way. He was looking at, seriously, he was looking at every DVD one by one, looking at the front cover and reading the blurb, and it was like, oh my god, do you have to look at every single one, can you just look at the spines? Anyway, it wasn't worth the effort, and I wish I didn't bother, because who gives a crap about World of Warcraft? Next up is Nostalgia Unlimited. This is obviously not a charity shop, but they do sell a lot of video game related stuff, so I'm throwing it in here anyway. I guess technically it is a thrift shop, but whatever. But I ended up buying this copy of Fahrenheit, probably better known as Indigo Prophecy. All I'm going to say about this game is I highly recommend watching the Let's Play done by Super Best Friends of this game. It is funny as hell. This game is an absolute train wreck. It starts quite promising and it just gets worse over time. The story is a load of absolute nonsense, but I recommend watching that. It's very funny. Next up, I went to the Salvation Army, and like the one in Kingswood, it was closed. These places seem to close very early in the day compared to most charity shops. This might actually be the world's smallest charity shop. It is absolutely minuscule on the inside. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to go in there next time, because there will be a next time, at least one more episode. I'm sorry. Next up is a badly cropped photo of the Margaret Green Animal Rescue, and they didn't really have anything, to be honest, sadly. And next up are two more Weldmar Hospice Trusts. We have literally two right next to each other. The one on the left is like a typical charity shop, and the one on the right is like the discount store. And right off the bat we have two copies of Wii Fit Plus. It's not uncommon to see copies of Wii Fit and like the Wii Fit boards in charity shops here, but what is weird is seeing an Australian copy. But yeah, that G, I'm pretty sure is part of the Australian rating system, so why it's ended up in a British charity shop, I have no idea. Sometimes you do see out of region things here, not very often, but I thought that was interesting. And they did have a copy of Escape from Monkey Island for the PC. I used to have a copy of this game years ago. I got rid of it because I wasn't really using it. It's a decent game, it gets a lot of bad flack. The worst thing about the game are the controls, the tank controls, which why you would have like a game like that with tank controls is absolutely beyond me. I do, funny enough, have a copy of the PS2 version, and you can just use the joystick, which is a lot nicer. But what isn't nice is the absolutely atrocious frame rate and loading times on that version. I still think the PC version's better in that way. I do want to show one more thing today. It wasn't from this trip, but I thought I'd point it out anyway since it's really interesting. There's a place here called Vintage. We buy old stuff. They also sell it too. And they had a copy of Hotel Mario for sale. I was literally just walking past one day and I saw it and I thought that is amazing. I never expected to see a copy of that game. Sadly, it was gone before I had a chance to buy it or even look at it properly. I don't even know what the price was, but you know what? It was cool enough seeing it in the first place and taking this photo, and I hope you enjoyed seeing it as well. But anyway, that's today's video. I'll see you next time. We're going to be having a look around Weymouth probably around Christmas time, hopefully. Maybe a little bit earlier. Depends when I can be able to go out. So until next time, have a good time.